All right. We have a green signal from our team.
1 second, sir. Yes, I'll just let you know. Yes, sir, we are live now.
Okay,
Go
excellent.
ahead.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. Greetings from ATL Innovation Mission. We are here today to celebrate two very different outcomes of our innovation ecosystem. As you all know, ATL Innovation Mission, since its inception in 2016, has been engaged in building the innovation ecosystem of India. At this point, there are about 9,500 ATLs, ATL Tinkering Labs at the school level. There are 68 ATL incubation centers, which are at the university, industry level. There's more than 2,500 startups, many mentors, and more than 5,000 mentors, that is to say, and many partnerships built on top of these platforms. So today we are celebrating, as I said, two very different outcomes. The first one, which represents sort of the advancing frontier of our innovation ecosystem, which is how at the front end, the incubation as a phenomena is specializing, and we're beginning to see even sector-wise progress. And today we'll be celebrating the top startups in ATL incubation centers that work on agriculture and allied sectors. So that's sort of the advancing end of the ecosystem that we will celebrate. The second, we have brought together the young tinkerers from ATL Tinkering Labs who have emerged as the top ideas from the Tinkering Marathon of the 2019-20, which is a long cycle. And so these people, the last 41, are really the top ideas emerging from it. And that is also commemorated as a booklet, which is a digital booklet. So this is really representing the input in some ways end of our ecosystem, because these are the youngest people, youngest innovator in our ecosystem. So let me say a little bit about each of them before we hear from other distinguished members today. The work on agriculture is the second volume of innovations for you. This year we released the first volume earlier this year, which was focused on healthcare. This time, this book is focused on agriculture and allied sector, as I said, and there are 70 plus startups and their stories represented in this booklet. All of these startups are registered via some or the other ATL Incubation Center, and it is the ecosystem services provided by these AICs that have led to the nurturing of these 70 agriculture startups. They represent work in the areas of frontier technologies like the big data and analytics, biosciences, drones, food as a service, IoT-enabled solutions, digital agronomy platforms, and many others. So there's a wide variety of ideas that are represented here. The second booklet, which is more focused on the tinkerers, this is called the Ingenious Tinkerers. These are the top innovations from the ATL Marathon of 2019 and 20. Around 1,200 innovations were received from across the country. And today we are unveiling this booklet of 41 top ideas. So Atal Tinkering Marathon has become sort of a annual national level innovation challenge that is run over the over the platform called the Atal Tinkering Labs, which provides innovators to come together and solve problems that they are passionate about. So, for instance, the ATL Marathon of 2019-20 was organized. First of all, somebody who must who deserves a special mention here was organized in partnership with MyGov, and this partnership and their work on the technology platform for this challenge, it enabled us to have students design their own marathon. So here students shared, first of all, the problem statements that they were passionate about. There were some 4,300 plus ideas that were shared by students. And then 5,000 plus students voted on these ideas to say what it is that they are most passionate about. And the final themes that became the themes for the marathon were quality education, equality for all, peace, justice, strong institutions, global health, and well-being. So even the selection of these ideas is a representation of where our nation and the young people of our nation are going, what they're passionate about, and so on. And again, this efficiently putting this platform together only was possible only because of MyGov partnership, and you will hear from Abhishek Singh, the CEO of MyGov, a little later today. I hope that these compilations will inspire many more entrepreneurs and young minds of our country to contribute in similar ways. And as we move on to our guests, let me first offer my heartiest congratulations to all the winners, all the participants who have, and people who have supported them. These are their teachers, their mentors, and their families. With that, let's move on to the first speaker. We're going to first hear from Professor Ramesh Chand, who is member agriculture at Niti Aayog and one of the most experienced agriculture scholars and writers of our nation. So over to you, Professor Chand.
Thank you, Chintanji. First of all, I congratulate you and your entire team in Atal Innovation Mission and the community of innovators associated with AIM. I find that you are doing wonderful work and also bringing laurel to not only yourself, but also to Niti Aayog. I thank you for choosing agriculture as a theme for this year, and I feel this is extremely important if we want to achieve goal of inclusive development, healthy India, and sustainability. We all know that historically agriculture has undergone a sort of what agriculture scientists called rainbow revolution. Green revolution, white revolution, blue revolution, and they also claim this yellow revolution. And that those revolution, they have driven growth rate of economy, raised productivity, and also enhanced income of farmers. We all know that these revolutions have also made India from a basket case or food deficit during 60s and 70s to a food surplus and food exporting country at present. But though past is glorious, but currently agriculture and food sector, they are facing some formidable challenges. The foremost is stagnation in productivity of some crops. If I may share with you that soybean is one crop that is the highest oil seed produced in India, but its productivity is stagnant for the last 50 years. not 10 years or 20 years. In 50 years, we have not made any progress in productivity of soybean. Similarly, we are facing issues of natural source overexploitation, land degradation, poor post-harvest value addition, and agrarian distress in some part of the country. We also need to take cognizance of the fact that global population is rising and demand for food is also rising because per capita income is increasing and there are deficiencies in the existing demand and supply. So FAO tells us that by 2050, global population will touch 9.5 billion. India's population projections vary, but likely to increase to 1.5 to 1.6 billion. So India has a responsibility not only to meet the demand for its own growing population, but also to contribute to meeting the global demand because a lot of people are placing this expectation from India. If we look at some of the practices in agriculture, which are the cause for poor modernization and unsustainability, or some age-old methods like flood irrigation. We do not use drip irrigation or sprinkler irrigation on large areas. Then second is broadcasting of fertilizer rather than applying fertilizer at the root zone or as a foliar spray. And indiscriminate use of many other chemicals which are resulting in, on the one hand, low efficiency, increase in real cost of production, low quality of produce, and many adverse effect on our environment and agri emissions. With the advent of the fourth industrial revolution, several sectors started to rapidly transform by leveraging digital technology, blockchain, and other frontier technology. However, in case of agriculture, till recently, application of these frontier technologies has remained very, very low. One reason for this is that state agriculture universities and ICR, they are not trained in the use of these kind of technologies. But in many platforms, I have said this thing that next revolution in agriculture will not be driven by agriculture sciences like agronomy and soil science. It will be driven by innovations which are being spread in the country by agri-tech firms and startups. So very, very important. To give some example, the spread of mobile technology, remote sensing servers, and distributed computing are already creating new opportunities to integrate farmers into digitally driven agri-food system. The potential is much larger, especially if we look at the knowledge gap. In most of the crop, the yield that is attainable with the input of the farmer and what is actually attained is on an average 40%. The main reason for this is that our extension system has collapsed and we have not replaced it with another alternative method. And I feel digital technology offer a wonderful opportunity in that area. In line with the vision of our Prime Minister for a paradigm shift from production to farmer income and targeting of sustainable development goals, over 4,000 startups are developing innovative technologies which can be deployed globally, benefiting millions of farmers, especially the smallholders who face so many disadvantages. Showcasing these startups to the world is extremely important to diffuse these innovations to the farm level, benefiting not just farmers, but also consumers, industry, entrepreneur, and economy at large. At the end, I heartily congratulate once again and appreciate the Atal Innovation Mission team for starting the Innovation for You series coffee table book to showcase 70 commercialized startups who have already started to make an impact in the livelihood of farmers through their innovation. I would be keenly looking for opportunity to work with these startups. I conclude by saying that technology will drive the future of Indian agriculture, but the judicious use of input, right usage of technology, cost competitiveness, involvement of youth, and private sector partnership, along with alternative method of farming, will uplift the sector to greater heights. Thank you.
Very much, Professor Chan. And let me share a couple of things at a sort of a personal level, personal me and personal ATL Innovation Mission. Um, First, I think I very much like your point about how contribution into agriculture field and how it advances will come from people who may or may not be fully sort of trained in agriculture, sciences, etc. itself, because they are kind of in some ways outsiders looking in onto this field and developing solutions. I myself, as somebody who's worked on agriculture-related solutions, I've felt that my biggest advantage was that of being an outsider, and my biggest disadvantage was that of being an outsider. But I think this field needs a lot of people to contribute and look at problems from different angles and so on. So we very much look forward to working with you. And the whole agriculture community in bringing these solutions. The second piece, this program has a slightly different format because we are celebrating launch of 2 different books. And we kind of had to take a call here from ATL Innovation Mission because we were celebrating, this month is the month of innovation at Niti Aayog, and we were celebrating things at breakneck speed. We had 17 celebrations this month, and we realized that all of us, it's coming to a point where the intersection of people's calendars seems to be a null set if we have too many events. So we've combined these 2 events. So let me now invite Abhishek Singh, the CEO of MyGov, because MyGov's association was the strongest on the second part, as we heard about the agriculture, which is one of the launches. The other launch is on the Tinkerpreneur marathon related Ingenious Tinkerers. And there, our collaboration was with MyGov. So let's hear from Abhishek. Over to you, Abhishek.
Yeah, thank you, Chintan, and it's indeed a pleasure to be on an event that being organized by ATL Innovation Mission, because we have been proud to be associated with ATL Innovation Mission in carrying the message of innovation and entrepreneurship far and wide, especially amongst the children. So the compendium of the 41 stories that constitute the indigenous tinkerers, as you call them, they are not like it's all right to call them tinkerers when they join the ATL tinkering labs. But when you look at the ideas which the young minds have conceptualized and thought of and articulated in the write-ups which have been featured in the coffee table book, you would realize that they are not just tinkerers, they are like innovators, they are thinkers, and they are like the next generation engineers and the next generation innovators who will do a lot of pride and who do contribute to our story as we see them evolving in the years to come. So it's indeed each one of those stories which have been featured in this coffee table book is a life story, is like way the young minds have been thinking about it, the ideation stage, then voting for a challenge, then thinking of a solution for that challenge. So the whole journey of the ATL Tinkering Marathon is something that we have been trying to not only support but also replicate in other challenges that we run at MyGov in partnership with other ministries also. And I would just mention that part of the idea that came on, especially in the first edition of the ATL Tinkering Marathon, was also captured in the Responsible AI for Youth program that we launched. And we got young students, government schools, contribute to AI solutions, build AI solutions. We provided support, and I'm sure the innovation ecosystem which ATL Innovation Mission is helping nurture will go a long way in ensuring that our young minds are able to go beyond just thinking and imagining to building prototypes and to building products. Similarly, the other book which has been created, I've not been able to have a look at them, but from what I've heard from what Professor Ramesh Chandra mentioned and what Chintan Vaishnav mentioned, is that the innovations for you, the story of the 70 agri-tech startups who will showcase how technology can be used for addressing the core challenges, basic challenges in the agriculture sector, that can really be a way to kickstart the most important sector of our economy. And what we have found is that in the last few years, the kind of innovation that we are seeing in precision agriculture or in using AI for diagnosis of crop diseases or in using AI for predicting what kind of crops should be grown in a particular plot of land, that can really go a long way in improving our agriculture yield and productivity. In fact, again, going back to the example of the responsible AI for youth challenge that we ran, we had in fact a girl from UP, from Bundelkhand, Lalitpur district, Nandini Kushwaha, who came up with a very interesting AI based solutions. Mitti ko jano, fasal pehchano. What she did was that she used the soil health data that was available from the from the soil testing data, along with the integrated with the weather data that was available from IMD and the crop history, and then she was able to build a tool which could advise her own father, who is a farmer, in trying to decide what crop one should be sowing in that plot of land. And similarly, that solution she started showing it with other farmers in her village in Lalitpur, and many farmers are adopting that. And that was one of the solutions that was rewarded in the Responsible AI for Youth program, and that showcases that our young minds can also think of how technology can be leveraged for improving agriculture and improving every activity that we do. So I'm sure this compendium of innovations for you in the agri sector would be full of such examples, such stories. And now the challenge that remains with us is that how do we make it more popular? How do we take these stories and these startups and these initiatives become more commonly used? How do we ensure that these don't remain just proof of concept or pilot projects, but they become adopted by more and more farmers, and more farmers utilize it? So this publication of this book is definitely a starting point. I am sure it will be available on the NITI's website, on Atal Innovation Mission website, and I will also ensure that we cover it adequately on MyGov, because MyGov's prime responsibility is communications and ensuring that all good initiatives that the government takes, or all relevant citizen-centric initiative that the government takes or works on in partnership with citizens, are carried far and wide. So we will cover it prominently on the MyGov app and MyGov portal and on social media platforms, and ensure that if possible, translate it into Indian languages, and ensure that more and more farmers benefit from that. So I assure the full involvement and full support of MyGov in both these two initiatives, as also the other initiative that may be coming up with Atal Innovation Mission. And I look forward to working with Atal Innovation Mission in all such activities. I congratulate all the innovators, all the contributors for the agriculture innovations for you stories, all the teachers, all the mentors associated with Atal Innovation Mission for the Atal Tinkering Lab Marathon, and my own team, which worked closely with the Niti Aayog team for making the Atal Tinkering Lab Marathon a success. And we look forward to working with you closely in the days to come. My congratulations to Chintan Vaishnav and your entire team, and hope that we will be able to do many such activities together in future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abhishek, and thank you also for offering to get the word out. I think all of these creative as well as mature young people completely deserve it. And we need to spread their innovations as far and wide as possible. So with that, I have the pleasure of inviting Dr. Rajiv Kumar, the Honorable Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, to take us to the launch.
Yes. Well, Dr. Ramesh Chand, Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, Mr. Abhishek Singh, all the others who have joined this launch, and I can see a lot of names here. Good afternoon to everybody, and wonderful to be here and to see, after 4 years of my joining here in the 4 years of Atal Innovation Mission, the flowering, the blossoming of the Atal Innovation Mission in 17 celebrations in a month. I mean, this is incredible, and I think I congratulate you all for doing this. And I think the is the fruition of the task that we began, and it pleases me no end to be a part of this. I've been always, it's always been a pleasure and a privilege to be associated with the work of Atal Innovation Mission, and I think we have come a long way. And from the start that was done 4.5 years ago. So congratulations to the entire Atal, the AIM team, and congratulations, of course, to those who figure as authors in these 2 volumes that are coming out. And the Prime Minister has said it quite often, and we all believe that in the current age and stage of where we are, innovation and technology are going to be the crux of everything. With the coming of the artificial intelligence, and I've been reading I've been reading about it, and of deep machine learning, digital technology. This is the next big technological revolution, which is going to impact every aspect of our life. So it is time, therefore, that high time, therefore, that India became an innovative society, and our next generations become innovators rather than anything else, and surely not those who learn by rote and those who learn to just pass exams. And therefore, I think the work of the Atal Tinkering Labs is a genuinely transformative one. 9,500 today, hopefully 50,000 tomorrow in the years to come, and maybe 100,000 going after. Every school in this country, if it has a tinkering lab, and every child is exposed to innovation and tinkering and a new way of thinking, and of the belief that each one of us can be an innovator, and each one of us has the potential to be an innovator. I think that's what is required, because that is what the call of the day is. And I think this is where we need to go, not by extra hour tuitions and cramming schools. In fact, I should mention here that I am actually very very impressed by all people, our Chinese neighbors, where President Xi Jinping has banned tuition after 6 p.m. and has actually said private tuitions no more, because that's the opposite of creating innovators. So and therefore congratulations for this, and I think this is going to become an unbeatable combination. Creating innovators, young innovators, and then disseminating them through MyGov and through other communication channels, because that's what we need to create a Jan Andolan. That's what we need to change the mindset. And I think this is what we need to do as we go forward. Not only that, but we also have to start changing behaviors. And therefore, this is where the behavioral science unit within Niti Aayog should also combine with Atal Innovation Mission and with MyGov to spread the word as to how the behaviors of teachers, of parents, of students, that needs to change, and the messaging should go out that it is innovation far more important to make a life better than just cramming and routine. So therefore, I'm thrilled to see this book out, and I've actually met with these young innovators more than once in Niti Aayog and otherwise, and you should see the twinkle in their eyes, when they come up with these innovations. And it's really so heartening to see that, because these are children which have just suddenly become special because they've been exposed to these opportunities, and the sort of optimism that comes out of there is incredible. So wonderful to have Ingenious Tinkerers out, and I hope we will get more volumes of it. I hope this hackathon spreads all around the country. We should have hackathons every day in some part of the country or the other. It's possible. We can do it. And in every state we should do it, especially in those areas where we think may be backward, but that is where some indigenous thinking, innovative, free of the sort of legacies and free of the constraints of so-called our modern education may be available. So that's what I'm looking for. Coming to the second one, I don't need to say too much. Dr. Ramesh Chand has already said it very clearly that the next phase, the next revolution in agriculture, much needed revolution in agriculture, will come from outside agriculture, will come from use of the new technology, whether that's in logistics, that's in seed selection, that's in soil, soil examination, or conservation of water, or fixing the water vapor from the atmosphere, all of that, so the use of the extensive use of digital technology in agriculture to connect farmers to their markets, to connect farmers to the logistics, to connect farmers to the global world outside, and bring costs down in agriculture. All of that will predominantly happen with the technology inputs from outside agriculture, and from maybe, and therefore again, there's probably a crying need to combine all the agricultural institutes that we have under ICAR with the institutes under CSIR and other science and technology establishments like the IITs or the Indian School of Science and the triple IITs, etc. That kind of synergy is missing because we tend to work in silos, and that's what happened to agriculture as well. The principal scientific advisor and I have been working on a scheme where, by creating seamless clusters of science and technology institutes in 5 cities, and that's what I think we need to do in case of agriculture as well. So and I think therefore agrotech, and I've not seen the book yet, but I hope it covers all aspects of agriculture, from soil conservation, from carbon sequestration, water conservation, agriculture productivity, soil productivity, seed, beneficiation, seed improvement, and then the marketing and agro-processing. So that's also as important. Our agriculture is one where value addition in agriculture and primary products is minimal. 10%, I think, is all that we have. And yes, I hope we have a challenge round or a hackathon on how to minimize waste in agriculture. And there are estimates which go from 15 to 27% of our agricultural output being wasted. I think that's important. What is also important is to prevent the pollution of our aquifers and of our water streams and of our ponds. And I think all of those are significant challenges facing the country today. I'm very glad to hear, I think it was Abhishek who mentioned that this is the most important sector. We tend to not recognize this because its contribution is between 18 to 20% of GDP, but a very large number of livelihoods depend on that. And I think India's progress will be measured on how agriculture can become a technologically vibrant and a technologically self-propelling sector as we go forward. Just the final word, which is that I think we should spend a little more time on the scientific education of our farmers. Which the Krishi Vigyan Kendras were meant to do that. Atma program is meant to do that. But I'm afraid, and I say this from my personal experience, they're not yet performed the kind of role that was expected of them. And I think they need to be rejuvenated. And what better than to connect them with AIM and with MyGov and with other instruments of our dissemination and communication. And I hope, therefore, Chintan, that as you've done with the Vernacular Innovation Program, you will also bring out, especially the Agri-Tech book, in not just English, but in other languages as well. So that is what is important. And that is what will spread the word to the farming community in the country. Thank you all very much. And once more, sincere congratulations for this work. And great congratulations to AIM. 17 celebrations this month. I hope a celebration every day in the months to come. Congratulations once again, and thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir. Certainly we will many of the messages that you gave, we will take them up going forward in terms of sort of making this compilation available in other languages, as well as running some of these bigger agriculture related challenges through the Atal New India Challenge as it's coming up in its 2nd edition. But absolutely, I mean, I think if we succeed as a country, it would happen only if agriculture succeeds. So Let's with that, let me first say that there are many people in this audience, including our ATL incubation centers and experienced incubation centers, who have all whose startups have contributed to these compilations. Then from Niti Aayog side, we have Dr. Neelam Patel, who represents the agriculture vertical. We have Mr. Neeraj Sinha, who has always been a major support for ATL Innovation Mission in all matters, as well as he represents the science and technology vertical of the Niti Aayog. With that, let us go and launch these two compilations. Is somebody going to share the screen? Okay, coming up. So we will first launch the innovations for you. Let's see. We'll first launch the innovations for you, the agriculture, the AgTech book. So please advise. Does the vice chairman go on? Okay, so that one is launched. Here's what it looks like. There are messages from all of the honorable members here. And then you will see 70 new ideas that are already commercialized and are helping farmers across our nation. So that's the first launch. Let's go to the second launch, which is this is the Ingenious Tinkerers. This is a compilation of 41 ideas. This book has some very fascinating ideas, including making learning of mathematics easier, turning noise in a classroom into electrical signal, and so on. There are some fascinating set of ideas and an imagination in this book of 41 gems. So both of these would be available after this event on ATL Innovation Mission's website at the very top where the ribbon moves. You can download and enjoy these books. We've kept the physical sort of paper copies of these books to a minimum just to save paper and be environmentally conscious, but it would be consumable in a digital fashion. So.
Very good. Congratulations. Congratulations also to my colleagues Neeraj and Neelam who have helped do this, and to everybody else. And look forward to its greater dissemination. Thanks, Chintan. Thanks a ton. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, sir. And thanks everybody for joining. That concludes our
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Launch. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.